Depending on who you ask, the comedy films of the early 2000s were either amazing or terrible. By amazing I mean passable, and by terrible I mean racist, and sexist and homophobic, and transphobic, which was even fashionable back then. Dude, Where's My Car, released in 2000 as a stoner comedy featuring Ashton Kutcher and Sean William Scott, and is curiously described by Google as a sci-fi mystery, despite the only mystery being why they included this scene.
Without a second to lose, and what comes next? Hey, bust the move.
After best friends Jesse and Chester destroy their girlfriend's house during a party, and yes, before you ask, their girlfriends are twin sisters, they realise the next morning that Jesse's car is missing. With no memory of the night before, they decide to retrace their steps and hopefully find the car, and with it, the anniversary gifts that will convince their twin girlfriends not to break up with them. Along the way, they bump into a zany cast of characters they somehow met all in one night, including a hot blonde, super hot blonde girl, and a trans girl with a gruff masculine voice, because at the time it was actually a legal requirement for every comedy to have that.
What the hell were you thinking throwing around my money like that? That wasn't part of the plan.
What Jesse and Chester don't know is that they've also found themselves in possession of a mysterious alien device called the Continuum Transfunctioner, which is powerful enough to destroy the universe if it falls into the wrong hands. So while our two main characters hunt for a missing car, they are themselves being hunted. The film is loud, irreverent, and not afraid to get a little silly from time to time in that classic early 2000s way.
I want to go on that ride, Daddy.
Me too, son, me too.
Speaking of early 2000s, Bubble Boy is a 2001 adventure rom-com starring Jake Gyllenhaal as a boy with no immune system who's forced to live inside a giant bubble or else he'll die. Dude, where's my immune system? Am I right? God, that is terrible. Despite everything, Bubble Boy is pretty content to live in his bubble, eat Jesus-shaped food, and listen to his mum's fun spin on bedtime stories.
And the prince climbed to the top of the tower and said, "Come with me, and we'll live happily ever after." Then Rapunzel left her plastic bubble and died. The end.
That is until he turns 16 going on 30, and a hot blonde, super hot blonde girl called Chloe moves in next door and starts washing her car like this. Naturally, this piques Bubble Boy's interest, and the film spends no less than 45 seconds on this great scene. The pair grow close, but nothing blossoms, and when Chloe moves away to marry her awful boyfriend, Bubble Boy decides to track her down and intervene. He crafts a portable bubble suit and takes off into the world to find the love of his life. It's sweet, and the film does a good job mixing that fish out of water theme with a classic coming-of-age story. But that's not what I want to talk about. Both of these movies have multiple scenes where the protagonists demonstrate unbelievable strength. But who's stronger? Ashton Kutcher, aka Jesse from Dude, Where's My Car, or Bubble Boy from Bubble Boy? And will any of my colleagues from work see this video? First, some ground rules. I'm using the word strength to refer to anything that makes a character strong, not just physical strength. To quote mindtraining.net, quoting Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the greatest battles aren't fought with physical strength, but with mental resilience. What I love most about this quote is that it doesn't exist anywhere else on the internet, but I did find this video where we get a glimpse into his true wisdom.
It's 4:45 a.m. It's still dark outside. Look at that, the lights just went out, and I'm getting ready to kill this AM cardio. You can't even see me, but it's gonna be so good, it's bad.
Dwayne. My only other rule is that Bubble Boy's bubble suit is part of a package deal. Since he'd be fully suited up during any sort of confrontation, I'm counting the suit strength as part of his own. Alright, with those rules in place, let's start with Bubble Boy. I think the standout characteristic here is probably his ability to withstand damage. He doesn't take 2 steps out of his room in his new bubble suit before falling down the stairs and bumping into everything in the house, but the suit is unharmed. And then we get this. And that's not even the only time he's hit by a vehicle. What I think stands out most here is that he doesn't even take a second to check his suit, demonstrating a level of confidence in his work that we could all learn from. So does Jesse ever get hit by a car? Yes, actually. After Jesse and Chester get tired of walking, they decide to try and hitch a ride with one of their neighbours and both get run over in the process. Jesse's body even smashes the windscreen, but they're both fine afterwards. Maybe in the world of early 2000s cinema, being hit by a car just isn't as big of a deal as it is in real life. If Regina George can survive being hit by a bus, then I have to disqualify this as a measure of strength. That being said, Bubble Boy's suit also survives being pecked at by a vulture and surrounded by flames. Nowhere in Dude, Where's My Car does Jesse get trapped in a building fire, so I can't say for certain whether he'd survive it, but I think Bubble Boy takes a point here for sheer resilience.
This is awesome!
But what about mental strength? From the beginning of his adventure, it's made abundantly clear that Bubble Boy is nothing short of a genius. With no formal training, he's able to build a portable, medical-grade bubble suit that's airtight, watertight, fire-resistant, and basically indestructible. He's like the king of those AI slop Facebook post children who build cars out of plastic bottles. But I'd argue that mental strength is more than just intelligence. Bubble Boy is also incredibly headstrong. Bear in mind we're talking about a white kid from the suburbs whose only education is from his racist religious mother.
And then the Indians decided to move to the reservations, where they could open casinos and sell tax-free cigarettes, and stay out of the white man's way.
Another A+.
Yet, when he witnesses racial harassment, he recognizes it's wrong and challenges it, despite being outnumbered.
That's the stupidest looking hat I've ever seen.
It's adorable! It's adorable!
So what about Dude, Where's My Car? Does Jesse recognize and challenge prejudice wherever he sees it? No. I don't think Jesse is a malicious character, but I wouldn't count on him to intervene like Bubble Boy did. So the boy in the bubble takes another point here for mental strength.
This is awesome!
Okay, let's look at a good old-fashioned measure for physical power, upper body strength. Or in layman's terms, how hard can hit something? No. And this is actually a bit of a weakness for Bubble Boy. Sure, he can absorb damage all day long, but that clunky bubble suit makes it difficult for him to be a real attacking threat. On the other hand, Jesse is much faster and can actually do a respectable amount of damage. Like at the Chinese restaurant, when the lady keeps saying "and then" instead of giving Jesse his food, he absolutely obliterates the metal speaker system with his bare hands. And then, when Chester gets his arm stuck under a glass screen, Jesse's the only one who's able to pull him free. Fine, it's not the most exciting example, but it's 2 examples of Jesse's strength to Bubble Boy's 0, so this point's a no-brainer. Is what I would say if Bubble Boy actually had 0 examples, but it turns out Bubble Boy has the example.
Jimmy.
Yeah. With nothing more than his fingertips, he tears apart the suit. Everything it's withstood, and Bubble Boy doesn't even break a sweat. And this isn't even just a demonstration of physical strength. He rips open his suit so he can kiss the girl he loves, even though he knows it'll kill him. And it does. Sort of. He's not actually immunocompromised, we find that out in a second, but the important thing is that he doesn't know that, giving him a level of courage on par with that of a Roman gladiator. So it's actually 2 points to Bubble Boy.
This is awesome!
Alright, let's wrap this up and have a look at the final score. And there you have it. It's 4 points in favour of Bubble Boy, and a disappointing 0 in favour of Jesse, whose name I forgot. Going into these 2 films, I totally underestimated how overpowered Bubble Boy would be, especially since his diet is made of nothing but Mom's homemade vitamin-rich, soy-based, germ-free, fat-free fibre cookies. But if I've missed anything, feel free to put it in the comments and I'll change the final score if you make a convincing enough argument. Thanks for listening to me talk for a little bit. This is my first video on YouTube, so if you enjoyed it, now's the time to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you want to drop a like, that'd really help the channel too. All that being said, I'll go ahead and play the outro screen now.